I was still reeling from signing the divorce papers when I found my wife Nora's wedding ring tucked inside Mitch Carver's pickup glove box. Months of late-night stakeouts, hidden cameras, and gut-churning suspicion had led me to this moment in the parking lot of Wilson's Auto Shop in Spokane, Washington. That ring, which ate up 2 months of my paychecks back when we tied the knot 18 years ago, sat there taunting me next to a pack of condoms and crumpled receipts from a Super 8 motel. "Well, ain't that a kick in the teeth," I muttered, my work-roughened hands shaking as I snapped a photo with my phone. A text from Nora popped up, buzzing like a wasp, held up at a knitting group. "Don't wait up. Knitting group my ass." That same group that supposedly met every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Yet Nora could never recall a single stitch or pattern they worked on. I slipped the ring into my pocket and trudged back into the shop, where the usual scent of grease and tire rubber hit me like a punch. Tonight, it turned my stomach. My buddy Lyle Turner glanced up from tinkering with a beat-up Ford, wiping his hands on his stained jumpsuit. "You look like you just saw a ghost, man," he said, eyeing my ashen face. "What's up?" I held up the ring, my voice low. "Caught the proof I needed. Nora's been messing around with Mitch Carver, that hotshot property developer." Lyle let out a slow whistle. "The guy with the big-shot real estate firm? That Mitch?" "Yup, and here's the kicker. His kid, Bryce, has been dating our daughter, Kaylee, for half a year. Small world, right?" "Damn, Wes," Lyle said, shaking his head. "What's your next move?" I leaned against a toolbox, my brain spinning. "I'm going to make them regret this. But first, I need to know how far this rabbit hole goes." The next morning, I sat at our kitchen table in Tacoma, sipping coffee that tasted like burnt regret. Nora floated around in a flashy new sundress I'd never laid eyes on, humming some tune as she slathered jam on her toast. The woman who'd barely given me the time of day for months was practically sparkling. "You're in a good mood," I said, keeping my tone even. She jumped a little, like she forgot I was there. "Oh, didn't expect you to still be home. Don't you usually head out by 7? Figured I'd hang around. Been a while since we caught up." Her eyes flicked away, suddenly real interested in her toast. "You know how swamped I've been with the community garden project and the school board stuff. Plus, Kaylee's been stressing over college essays." "Right, college." I took another sip, watching her. "Where's Kaylee at anyway?" "Crashing at Jenna's. They've got some group project." Another lie. I'd cruised by Jenna's place last night. No lights, no cars in the driveway. I'd bet my toolbox Kaylee was off with Bryce, probably at some party while Nora was out cozying up with Mitch. "Funny thing," I said, standing up and stretching. "I bumped into Mitch Carver yesterday. Seems like a decent guy. Maybe we should invite him over for dinner sometime." Nora's face drained of color, and her toast hit the floor with a soft thud. "No need for that," she stammered. "I hardly know him." "Really? 'Cause he sure seemed to know you. Asked about your knitting group." Her voice cracked, just a hair. "Probably just being nice. Anyway, I gotta run. The ladies are waiting." She snatched her purse and bolted for the door, leaving her breakfast behind. I smirked, bitter but satisfied. Step 1, done. At the shop, my head wasn't in the game. Every tire rotation, every oil filter swap felt like going through the motions. I was playing the part of the clueless husband while Nora strutted around town with her lover. Lyle found me in the break room, staring at my phone like it held the secrets of the universe. "You're glued to that screen, man," he said. "What's on it?" "Nora's location. Said she was headed to the community center this morning." I tilted the phone so he could see. "Guess where she really is?" Lyle squinted at the map. "The Hilton in downtown Tacoma. Room 312. Been there since 10 a.m. It was 2 p.m. now. 4 hours. "Damn, Wes, that's rough," Lyle said. "Don't feel sorry for me," I replied, my jaw tight. "I'm logging everything. Times, places, pictures. When I drag her to court, she won't get a penny." But deep down, it wasn't about the money. I wanted them to feel this gut-wrenching betrayal, to have their world ripped apart like mine was. That evening, Kaylee came home with Bryce in tow. They sprawled out in the living room, playing some racing game on the console, laughing and nudging each other like lovesick kids. From the kitchen, I watched them, noticing how much Bryce took after his dad. Same chiseled jaw, same smug grin. "Hey, Dad," Kaylee called. "Can Bryce stay for dinner?" "Sure thing, kiddo. Mom cooking?" "Nah, she's at another meeting. Something about the spring fair." I almost snorted. Another meeting. "I'll order some burgers." While we waited for the food, I sized up Bryce. The kid seemed all right. Polite, crazy about Kaylee. Not his fault, his dad was a dirtbag. "So, Bryce," I said, kicking back in my armchair, "your dad's in real estate, yeah?" Yeah, he runs Carver Realty, Bryce said, his voice full of pride. Always talking about his big deals. Says I might join him after college? Nice. Must be doing well to afford that place on Cedar Lane. Oh, we moved to an apartment downtown after the divorce, Bryce said. Dad says it's easier to maintain. My ears pricked up. Divorce? When did that happen? About 9 months back. Was messy. Mom caught Dad with someone else. My stomach twisted. 9 months ago, that's when Nora started acting off, staying out late, buying new outfits. Sorry to hear that, I said, keeping my voice steady. It's cool, Bryce shrugged. Dad's happier now. Got a new girlfriend, but he won't say who. He's like a new man. Kaylee squeezed his hand. That's sweet. Everyone should get to be happy. Yeah, I said, my voice tight as a drum. Everyone. That night, after Bryce left and Kaylee hit the hay, I sat in the garage with a beer in my laptop. I'd put tracking software on all our family devices months ago, after Kaylee got caught sneaking out. Now I was thanking my lucky stars for that hunch. Nora's phone was a goldmine. Hundreds of texts to Mitch, pictures, even voice messages. The timeline was a gut punch. It all started 9 months ago, right after Mitch's wife filed for divorce. The texts on Nora's phone hit me like a sledgehammer. She was pouring out promises to Mitch Carver, stuff she'd never once said to me, like how she'd ditch me for good and build a life with him. There were pictures, too, ones she'd snapped in our bedroom in Tacoma, the same room I'd been sleeping in solo for months. The worst part? They were mocking me. Mitch called me the grease monkey, and Nora dubbed me the guy I share a house with. My whole life was their punchline, and I'd been too dumb to notice. I sent all the evidence to a private email and wiped it from my laptop. Tomorrow, I'll kick off the next step of my plan. Opportunity knocked faster than I expected. Friday night, Nora claimed she was headed to a girls' night at her sister's place. I knew that was a load of crap. Her sister lives in Denver, not Spokane. But I played along, gave her a smile, even pecked her cheek as she walked out. An hour later, I was parked outside the DoubleTree downtown, watching Nora and Mitch stumble out of the elevator, all giggles and grabby hands, clearly buzzed. They didn't spot me tailing them to Mitch's sleek Audi, didn't notice me snapping pics as he pinned her against the car for a sloppy kiss in the lot. Have your fun, I muttered, firing up my truck. It's the last time you'll be smiling. The next morning, Nora dragged herself home, looking rough and spinning a tale about her sister catching a bad case of food poisoning. I nodded along, asking all the right questions about her sister's health, playing the concerned husband. Maybe we should send her some flowers, I offered. That's sweet, but she's doing better now. No need to overdo it, Nora said, brushing it off. Glad you had a good time, though. She studied me, searching for any hint I was on to her. I kept my face blank, and she relaxed. I'm gonna hit the shower. I feel like garbage. I bet you do, I thought. While she was upstairs, I dialed my lawyer, Hank Sullivan. He'd sorted out my dad's estate years back and had a reputation for tearing cheating spouses apart in court. I'm ready to file for divorce, I said, cutting to the chase. Rough news, Wes, Hank replied. What's your case? She's cheating, and I've got the receipts. Hank's tone sharpened. What kind of receipts? Photos, texts, bank statements showing hotel charges, gifts bought with our joint account. Oh, and her wedding ring, left in his truck. Damn, how long's this been going on? 9 months, maybe more, but I can prove 9. All right, I'll get the papers ready. Lock down your joint accounts, grab copies of tax returns, and list every asset. Don't tip her off. She won't know what hit her, I said. Good. We're going for the jugular. Sunday morning, Nora said she was off to church. I knew she was lying. Mitch had texted her about meeting at his place. I let her go, needing the house empty to set up the final pieces of my trap. I drove to Mitch's neighborhood, a ritzy area called Crestview Estates in Spokane. His condo was nice, but not over the top, probably all he could swing after his divorce. I parked across the street and waited. 20 minutes later, Nora's car rolled into his driveway. She was wearing a floral dress I'd complimented just last week, one she said was too nice for our usual spots. Guess it was perfect for her side piece. Through the window, I saw Mitch pull her close, saw her laugh at some dumb joke he cracked. They looked so damn comfortable, like they were made for each other. Not for long, I growled, zooming in with my camera's telephoto lens to capture every moment. Monday morning, I strode into Hank's law office downtown, feeling lighter than I had in ages. He was waiting with a fat folder and a grin that said he was ready to rumble. This is gonna be a good one, Hank said, spreading the divorce papers across his desk. We're hitting her with everything. infidelity, emotional distress, alienation of affection. We're asking for the house, full custody of Kaylee, and spousal support. She won't fight for custody, I said. Kaylee's 18 in a couple months. Maybe, but it sets the tone. Oh, and I've got a separate lawsuit ready for Mitch Carver. Interference with your marriage. I smirked. How much can we squeeze out of him? Depends on his finances, but I did some digging. His real estate business is stretched thin, propped up by risky investments. If we can show he used company money to fund his fling with Nora, we might crack his corporate shield. You're a genius, Hank. I will do my best. Now, how do you want to serve the papers? I leaned back, thinking. I could keep it quiet, have them served at work. But where's the satisfaction in that? I want them both served at the same time, in public. Make it sting. That's bold but doable, Hank said. I know just how to pull it off. The plan was airtight. Every Tuesday, Mitch attended the city zoning board meeting to pitch his latest development deal. Nora showed up as a concerned resident, thinking they were slick by hiding their affair in plain sight. I got to the council chamber early, dressed in the suit I wore when Nora and I got hitched, clutching a manila envelope. The process server was waiting in the hall, but I was flying solo in the room. The meeting dragged on. Talk of permits, land surveys, environmental reports. I barely paid attention, my eyes locked on Nora and Mitch, sitting a few rows apart, stealing looks like kids passing notes in class. Mitch finally got up to pitch his new retail complex to the zoning board. As he strutted to the podium, I stood up, my heart pounding, but my voice steady. Hold up, I called out, loud enough to turn heads. I've got a question. The board chair looked thrown off. Sir, this isn't the time for public input. Oh, it's about Mr. Carver's project, all right. I'm curious how he's going to fund it when he's about to lose everything in court. Mitch's face went white as a sheet. What the hell are you on about? I gave him a cold smile and nodded to the process server, who stepped forward with a stack of papers. Mitch Carver, you're being served with a lawsuit for interfering with my marriage, among other things. The room buzzed with whispers. Nora looked like she might lose her lunch. Mitch grabbed the documents, his eyes darting over them. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You can't. Nora Vance, the process server cut in, turning to my wife. You're being served with divorce papers. Nora's face collapsed, her voice a whisper. Wes, not like this. Please. Why not? I said, casual as could be. This is where you two have been sneaking around for months, isn't it? Playing happy couple while I bust my ass 60 hours a week to bankroll your lies? The chair banged his gavel. Sir, I'm going to need you to. I'm done here, I said, heading for the door. Oh, and Mitch, check your business insurance. Pretty sure cheating breaks the ethics clause. As I walked out, I caught Mitch's shouts, Nora's sobs, and the chair yelling for order. It was music to my ears. By that evening, the story was all over Spokane's Channel 5 News. Local developer served lawsuit at city meeting. The anchor called it a shocking showdown and a warning about secrets in tight-knit towns. My phone wouldn't quit ringing. Friends, co-workers, my cousin calling from Seattle. Everyone wanted the dirt. I dodged most of them but picked up when Lyle called. Man, Wes, you're famous, he said. Saw you on TV. Yeah, I'm a regular celebrity, I said dryly. How's it feeling? Like I can finally breathe. But the high didn't last. That night, Kaylee stormed into the house, tears streaking her face. How could you do that to Mom? She yelled. In front of everybody? You made her a laughingstock. She did that to herself, I said, keeping my cool. And to me. You're too young to get it, but you will. I don't buy it. Mom wouldn't cheat. She loves you. I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo from the hotel lot. Mitch and Nora locked in a kiss, her hands all over him. Kaylee's face fell apart. No, she whispered. That's fake. You edited it. I wish it was, kiddo. It's real. Every bit of it. She bolted upstairs sobbing, and I heard her door slam. Then came the muffled sound of her on the phone, probably with Bryce. That poor kid was about to find out his dad had wrecked another home. An hour later, Nora walked in, looking like she'd aged a decade in a day. Her eyes were puffy, her perfect hair a mess. We gotta talk, she said softly. Think we're past talking, I replied. Please, Wes, I know you're mad. Mad? I let out a bitter laugh. I'm not mad, Nora. I'm let down. I trusted you, loved you, and you tossed it all for some washed-up real estate guy with a bad comb-over. It wasn't supposed to go like this. It just happened. For 9 months, it just happened, I shot back. Nora's facade cracked. I felt empty, Wes, like I was just going through the motions. Mitch made me feel alive again. So you burned our marriage to the ground to feel something. I was going to tell you, I needed time to figure it out. Bull, you were fine keeping me as your fallback while you played house with him. She slumped into a chair, defeated. What do you want from me? Pack your bags and leave tonight. Then explain to Kaylee why you blew up her family. And know this, I'm making sure everyone in Spokane knows exactly who you are. You can't, she pleaded. I have a reputation. Had, past tense. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of lawyer meetings, splitting assets, and public shame. Nora moved in with her sister, who flew in from Denver to help with the mess. Mitch's business partners started bailing after the affair went viral. I threw myself into work at the shop, but my real focus was the investigation Hank Sullivan was running into Mitch's company. Turns out Mitch wasn't just a cheater. He'd been cutting corners on his projects, using cheap materials, and slipping bribes to city officials for permits. We've got him dead to rights, Hank said at one of our meetings. His finances are a house of cards. The affair with Nora's just the start. What's that mean for me? You're getting everything you asked for, maybe more. He's looking at criminal charges that'll keep him tied up for years. I felt a dark satisfaction. Good. And Nora? She's fighting the infidelity claims, but the evidence is ironclad. Her lawyer's pushing for a settlement. No deal. I want this in court. Wes, I gotta warn you. I don't care about her money, Hank. I want her to stand in front of a judge and explain why she ruined us. I want it on record. Hank nodded. It's gonna get messy. It already is. At least now everyone will see her for what she is. The trial was set for early fall. Meanwhile, I worked on patching things up with Kaylee. It wasn't easy. She was still pissed, still defending Nora, still seeing Bryce. But bit by bit, she started coming around. The final straw was when Bryce showed up at our door one night, eyes red like he'd been crying. Mr. Vance, can we talk? I let him in, curious. You all right? My dad got arrested. Something about his business. Cops raided our condo, took boxes of files. That's tough, kid. He's blaming you. Says you destroyed his life. I looked hard at Bryce's face, searching for what he really thought. What's your take on all this? I asked. His voice broke as he answered. I think my dad wrecked his own life, and ours and yours too. He swallowed hard. I found stuff on his computer, messages between him and Nora. They'd been scheming for months, planning to wait until I finished high school, then ditch their families and head to Texas. A cold rage burned in my chest. Did you tell Kaylee? Yeah, I showed her the text. She's upstairs, a mess. Thanks for coming clean, Bryce. Mr. Vance, I'm sorry for what my dad did. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I am. You're not your dad, kid. Don't let his screw-ups shape who you are. After Bryce left, I went upstairs and found Kaylee curled up on her bed, hugging a pillow tight. Her eyes were puffy when she looked up. I'm sorry, Dad. I should have trusted you. I sat beside her and pulled her into a hug. You were sticking up for your mom. That's what good kids do. But she lied to me, to all of us. Yeah, she did. But that doesn't mean she doesn't care about you. She just made some rotten choices. I hate her. No, you don't. You hate what she did. Big difference. Kaylee sobbed into my shoulder, and I held her, feeling like I was finally getting my daughter back. The family Nora tore apart was starting to mend, but the wounds would need time to heal. The trial kicked off on a chilly October morning in Spokane's courthouse, packed with reporters, nosy locals, and supporters from both sides. I wore my best suit, sitting next to Hank Sullivan as Nora walked in with her lawyer. She looked worn out, thinner, like the fight had drained out of her. She wouldn't meet my eyes as she settled at the defendant's table. Mitch was absent, locked up in federal custody on fraud and bribery charges. The hearings were ruthless. Hank laid out Nora's affair like a prosecutor, using her own texts and photos to build a watertight case. Witnesses testified about her lies, her constant absences, her disregard for our vows. When Nora took the stand, she tried to play the victim, claiming she was stuck in a cold, loveless marriage, forced to find comfort elsewhere. Hank tore her story apart. Mrs. Vance, you said you felt unloved, yet you kept accepting gifts from your husband, using his credit cards, living in the home he paid for, correct? Yes, but... And while you were so unloved, you were secretly planning to leave him and move to Texas with your lover, weren't you? It wasn't like that. Let's look at Exhibit 47, a text you sent to Mitch Carver on March 15th. Can you read it aloud? Nora's voice was barely a whisper. I can't wait to start over with you. Wes won't know what hit him. Does that sound like someone trapped Or someone deliberately deceiving her husband? Nora broke down sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry for the affair, or sorry you got caught? Both. All of it. The jury took less than 2 hours to find Nora guilty of infidelity, awarding me the house, the cars, and hefty financial damages. It was a total win, but watching my wife of 18 years pay for her betrayal left me hollow. Kaylee and I drove home in silence. The house felt different. Too big, too quiet, haunted by memories we'd have to learn to live with. What's next? Kaylee asked. We keep going. We rebuild. We figure out how to be a family without your mom. She chose Mitch over us, but you still get to decide what kind of relationship you want with her. Kaylee nodded, but she wasn't ready to talk about it. Neither was I. Too raw, too worn out. That night I sat in the garage with a beer, staring at the divorce decree. Nora had 48 hours to clear out. Her lawyer had lined up a moving truck, and she'd be gone by Sunday. My phone rang. It was Lyle. Saw the news, man. Congrats, I guess. Thanks. Doesn't feel like a win. You did what needed doing. She betrayed you, and you made her answer for it. Yeah, but I ruined her life in the process. She ruined her own life, yours and Kaylee's. You just held her feet to the fire. Lyle was right, but it didn't ease the ache. Revenge was supposed to feel good, but it just left a bitter taste. The next few months blurred by. I worked, Kaylee wrapped up her senior year, and we got used to our new normal. Nora moved to a small apartment across Spokane, working at a retail store, a far cry from her old life as a social queen. Mitch's trial was slated for spring, with heavy federal charges, mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy. If convicted, he was looking at years behind bars. His real estate business had tanked, bled dry by legal fees. I should have felt good, but I was just bone-tired. The anger that kept me going was fading, leaving only exhaustion. What had I really won? The answer hit me on a rainy Thursday in March. I was locking up the shop when I saw a familiar figure by my truck. Bryce Carver, soaked and shivering. Bryce, what are you doing out here? I need to talk about my dad. We went inside and I handed him a towel and a mug of coffee. He looked gaunt, like the last few months had aged him a decade. How's your dad holding up? I asked. He's broken, Mr. Vance. 2 months in jail, and he's not himself anymore. Sorry to hear that. Are you? Bryce's question hung heavy. I thought it over. Yeah, I am. I didn't want to crush him, Bryce. I just wanted him to pay for what he did. Well, he's paying, we all are. I had to drop out of college, can't afford it. Mom's working double shifts. And Nora, she's been calling Dad in jail, crying, saying she's sorry, that she never meant for it to go this far. She's falling apart. My stomach twisted. That's not my problem anymore, is it? You said you wanted him to pay. He has. They both have. We all have. When does it stop? Bryce stared at me, his eyes searching. I used to think you were a good guy. Now I'm not so sure. After Bryce left, I sat alone in the shop, grappling with feelings I'd buried for months. I'd turned into someone I didn't know anymore. Vindictive, cold, almost cruel. The guy who'd once rushed into danger to help strangers had spent the last year tearing 2 people apart. But they had it coming, didn't they? They'd lied, betrayed me, made me look like an idiot. I was justified in hitting back, right? That question gnawed at me for weeks. I found myself driving by Nora's apartment in Spokane, wondering how she was holding up. I skimmed articles about Mitch's upcoming trial, torn between grim satisfaction and a creeping guilt. I'd gotten my revenge, but it felt empty now, like chasing a shadow. The final showdown came on a warm April evening. I was flipping burgers on the grill in our backyard in Tacoma when Nora showed up at the gate, looking like a ghost of herself, pale, gaunt, hair unwashed, clothes rumpled. I need to talk, she said, her voice small. Nothing left to say. Please, Wes, 5 minutes. Against my better sense, I let her in. She sat at the patio table where we'd once mapped out family trips and dreamed about Kaylee's future. I'm leaving town tomorrow, she said quietly. Where to? Austin, with your sister. Yeah, I can't stay here. People stare. I lost my job. The apartment's too expensive. Guilt stabbed at me. I'm sorry it came to this. No, you're not. You wanted to crush me and you did. I wanted you to face what you did. I faced it. I lost my husband, my daughter, my home, my friends, my reputation, everything. Happy now? I looked at the woman I'd loved, the mother of my kid, reduced to a husk. No, I'm not. Then why? Because I was hurt, furious. I wanted you to feel what I felt. Silence stretched between us, two people who'd once shared a life now divided by a chasm of pain. I loved you, Nora said finally. You won't believe me, but I did. I just lost who I was somewhere along the way. I loved you too. That's why it cut so deep. I know, I'm sorry. For the affair, the lies, for breaking our family. All of it. I'm sorry too for what I turned into, for taking it so far. She stood, wiping her eyes. Take care of Kaylee. She'll need you. I will. And Wes, don't let this make you hard. You're a good man. Don't let my mistakes change that. She walked away, slipping out of my life as quietly as she'd come into it 18 years ago. I stayed in the backyard long after dark, mulling over paths not taken and costs too steep. The next morning I called Hank Sullivan. I'm dropping the civil suit against Mitch. You're out of your mind, he said. We're this close to a payout that could set you up for years. I don't want his money. I want this to be done. Wes, he ruined your marriage. He owes you. He's going to prison. His business is toast. His kid can't afford college. How much more does he need to pay? Hank sighed. Your call, but I think you're wrong. I've made plenty of mistakes. This isn't one. A week later, a letter arrived from Mitch, scrawled on prison stationery. Mr. Vance, I heard you dropped the lawsuit. I don't deserve your mercy, but I'm thankful. I can't undo what I did to your family, but I'm truly sorry. You're a better man than I'll ever be. Thank you for giving Bryce a shot at a future. Mitch, I folded it and tucked it into my desk. It didn't erase the past, but it felt like a small step toward moving on. Spring gave way to summer, and life started to settle. Kaylee graduated high school and enrolled at a community college in Spokane, wanting to stay close to me. Bryce took a job at the garage, working beside me to save for school. One evening, as we were locking up, he approached me, his face serious. I need to thank you, he said. For what? Dropping the lawsuit. Give me this job, not judging me for my dad's mistakes. You're not him, Bryce. Not everyone would see it that way. I studied with him. What about Kaylee? I love her. I want to marry her someday, if she'll have me. And if I say no, I'll respect it, but I hope you'll let me prove I'm not my dad. I nodded slowly. You're not him, but are you sure you want to hitch yourself to this family? We've got a lot of scars. Everyone's got scars. I'm not scared of yours. That night I sat in the garage with a beer, reflecting on the past year. I'd lost my wife, nearly lost my daughter, and came close to losing myself. But I'd also learned who I was, who I wanted to be. My phone buzzed with a text from Kaylee. Love you, Dad. Thanks for everything. I smiled, texting back. Love you too, kiddo. Always. I finished my beer and headed inside, flipping off the lights. Tomorrow would bring new fights, new chances, new choices. But tonight, for the first time in a year, I felt at peace. The sun dipped low over our Tacoma neighborhood, splashing the sky with hues of orange and pink. I stood on the front porch, watching folks go about their evenings. The Millers were walking to their lab. The Wilsons were firing up their grill. The Thompsons were tossing a ball with their kids. Normal life, the kind I'd stopped appreciating. My phone rang. It was Lyle. Are you free tomorrow night? Why? There's a new woman at the hardware store, divorced, about your age. Thought maybe. I'm not there yet. When will you be? I paused. I don't know. Maybe never. That's nonsense, Wes. You're 43, not dead. Nora screwed you over, but that doesn't mean you gotta be alone forever. I've got Kaylee. Kaylee's off to college. She'll get married, have kids, build her own life. What about you? Gonna sit in that house feeling sorry for yourself? I didn't answer, but Lyle's words sank in. I'd been so caught up in revenge and rebuilding that I hadn't thought about what came next. Just think about it, he said. Her name's Ellen. After Lyle hung up, I couldn't shake his words. Was I ready to let someone new in, to risk getting burned again? My head screamed no, but my heart was worn out from being alone. The next evening, I was tinkering late in the shop when a car rolled into the driveway. My gut sank when I saw it was a police cruiser. Had something happened to Kaylee? Detective Mara Klein stepped out, her face serious. We'd crossed paths during the probe into Mitch's shady deals, and I liked her no-nonsense style. Evening, Wes, she said. Got a minute? Sure. Everything all right? Depends. When's the last time you heard from Mitch Carver? Got a letter from him a few weeks back. Why? He's gone. Took his own life in his cell this morning. It felt like a kick to the chest. Jesus, how? Hanged himself with a bedsheet, left a note apologizing to his family and mentioning you specifically. What did it say? That he regretted ruining your marriage and said you showed him more kindness than he deserved? Asked that Bryce be told you're a decent man? I slumped onto a workbench, swamped by a mess of feelings. Relief, guilt, grief, anger, all colliding. I gotta ask, Mara said carefully. Any recent contact with him? Any threats? Nothing. That letter was the first I'd heard from him since the trial. I believe you, but I had to check. After she left, I sat alone in the garage staring at my hands. Mitch was dead. The guy who'd turned my life upside down was gone. But instead of feeling justified, I felt empty. I thought about Bryce, now fatherless. About Mitch's ex-wife, who'd be mourning despite everything. About the letter, where he owned up to his wrongs in the end. Maybe that was enough. Maybe it was time to let go of the rage for good. Mitch's funeral was small, barely attended. I didn't go but sent flowers with a note for Bryce. Sorry for your loss. A week later, Bryce showed up at the garage, eyes red, looking hollowed out. Thanks for the flowers, Mr. Vance, he said. Sorry about your dad. You mean that? He wrecked your life. He made bad calls, terrible ones, but he was still your father. Bryce nodded, tears spilling. He wasn't always like this. When I was a kid, he was good. Taught me to throw a baseball, helped with math homework, and never missed my games. I'm sure he was. People are messy, Bryce. They can be good and rotten all at once. In his note, he said you were the better man, that he lost who he was supposed to be. I thought about my own spiral this past year, how close I'd come to losing myself in vengeance. We all get lost sometimes. The trick is finding your way back. How do I do that? One day, one choice at a time. We worked quietly the rest of the afternoon, two guys trying to make sense of a mess and move forward. That evening, I found Kaylee in the kitchen, stirring a pot of pasta. She glanced up, reading my face. You heard about Mr. Carver? Yeah, you okay? I don't know. I hated him for what he did to us, but I didn't want him gone like that. That's normal. Shows you've got a good heart. Bryce is a wreck. He's blaming himself, wondering if he could have done something. There was nothing he could have done. Mitch made his choice. Is it our fault? Did we push him too far? I thought hard about it. Maybe. I was so hell-bent on making him pay, I didn't think about what it had cost. Mom's taking it rough too. She called, crying, and said she feels like it's her fault. Where's she at now? Still in Austin, seeing a counselor, trying to sort it all out. I nodded. It was good Nora was getting help. We all needed to heal. 2 months later, I was at the hardware store in Tacoma, grabbing some bolts, when I saw a woman struggling with a heavy bag of fertilizer. Without thinking, I stepped up. Here, let me help with that. Thanks, she said, brushing her hair back. These bags get heavier every year. She was pretty in an unpolished way, brown hair with gray streaks, laugh lines crinkling her eyes, no ring on her finger. When she smiled, something in me stirred, something I thought was long dead. I'm Ellen Martinez, she said. Wes Vance. Nice to meet you. Wait, Wes Vance? From Wilson's Auto Shop? I braced myself, expecting the usual pity or judgment about my public divorce. That's me. My car's been making this weird grinding noise. Could you take a look sometime? Sure thing. What kind of noise? As we chatted about her car troubles, I felt myself relax, maybe even smile a little. Ellen didn't seem to care about my messy past. To her, I was just a guy who could fix her car, treating me like any regular Joe. I can swing by tomorrow to check it out, I offered. That'd be great. I teach 3rd grade, so anytime after 4 hours of work. The next day, I found myself fussing over my appearance before heading to Ellen's place in a quiet Tacoma neighborhood. Her house was a cozy single story with a neat garden and kids' drawings taped to the windows. Must be fun working with kids, I said as we headed to her garage. It has its moments, she replied. 8-year-olds are brutally honest, sometimes more than grown-ups. I popped the hood of her Toyota and spotted the issue right away. Your serpentine belt's about to be shot. Good thing you caught it now. Is it pricey to fix? Nah, $20 for the part, maybe $30 for labor if I do it. You're not charging me full shop rates? Call it a neighbor deal. While I worked, Ellen brought me a glass of iced tea and asked about the shop. She listened closely as I rambled about engines and gear shifts, tossing out smart questions that showed she was actually tuned in. You really get a kick out of this, she said. It's honest work. I fix what's broken. That's a rare skill. Wish more things were as fixable as cars. Her tone made me glance up. Sounds like you've been through it. Divorced 3 years now. My ex decided he wanted a younger model. Literally married a 25-year-old he met at a car expo. That's rough. Sorry. It was, but I made it through. So did my kids. Lila's 12, Max is 10. They're with their dad this weekend. I finished the repair and shut the hood. Give it a start. The engine purred smoothly, no grinding. Ellen's face lit up, and I felt that spark again. You're a wizard, she said. What do I owe you? The tea's plenty. Come on, at least let me cover the part. Tell you what, there's a new Italian joint downtown, Bella Vita. Buy me dinner sometime. Her smile flickered. I should probably say, I know who you are. The stuff with your wife and that real estate guy, small town, big rumors. My stomach sank, bracing for the usual pity or judgment. And, she continued, I think you handled it with more grace than most would. Your ex made her choices, and you made sure she faced them. Some folks say I went overboard. Some folks haven't been stabbed in the back by someone they trusted completely. I get why you did it. So dinner? I'd like that, but fair warning, I'm not after anything heavy. I'm still figuring out who I am outside of being someone's wife. That's fine. I'm not sure I'm ready for heavy either. We went to Bella Vita the next Friday, my first real date in 20 years, and I was jittery as a kid, but Ellen's easy laugh and dry humor settled my nerves. What's the worst car disaster you've seen? She asked over spaghetti. Guy brought in a pickup that wouldn't start. Turns out his nephew had dumped a bucket of dirt in the gas tank. It took 3 days to flush it out. She laughed. Kids, cute until they cost you. Tell me about yours. Her face glowed as she talked about Lila and Max, their quirks, their hobbies, how they'd coped with the divorce. I found myself hooked, asking questions, swapping stories about Kaylee's younger days. You're a good dad, Ellen said. It shows. I will try. Screwed up plenty this past year, though. We all screw up. The key is learning from it. After dinner, I walked her to her car. The night air was warm, and I didn't want it to end. I had a great time, I said. Me too. But I gotta ask, is this part of some big payback plan against your ex? Her bluntness caught me off guard. What? No. Why'd you think that? In my experience, newly divorced guys are either genuinely interested or out to prove something. I need to know which this is. I thought it over. Honestly, I'm not sure. 6 months ago, I was so mad I couldn't think straight. Now I just want to move on, to feel good again. That's a solid answer. Solid enough for a second date? We'll see. But there was a second date, then a third. Ellen was nothing like Nora, fiercely independent, straight-talking, unimpressed by status or flash. She dug in her garden, read like a fiend, and had strong takes on everything from school budgets to global politics. You're not what I expected, I told her one night on her back porch. What did you expect? Someone more cautious, closed off. I was for a while, but playing it safe didn't keep me from getting hurt. So now I'm just upfront about who I am and what I want. And what do you want? Someone who makes me laugh, who I can trust, who sees me as more than a stand-in for what they lost. Her words hit hard. Was I into Ellen for her, or because I was lonely and she was there? I'm not trying to replace Nora, I said finally. Good, because I'm not her. I'm me, and that's gotta be enough. As summer faded into fall, I spent more time with Ellen and her kids. Lila was quiet but sharp with a sly sense of humor. Max was a car nut, bombarding me with questions about engines. You know a ton about cars, I told him one Saturday, while we changed the oil in Ellen's Toyota. My dad showed me some stuff before he left, Max said. Sounds like a smart guy. Mom says he's a moron. Well, folks can be smart and dumb at the same time. Max chewed on that. Are you going to marry my mom? The question threw me. I don't know. Would that bug you? Nah, you're nicer than her last boyfriend. She had a boyfriend? Yeah, Mr. Larson from the credit union. Ellen didn't seem fazed by my messy history. To her, I was just a guy who could fix her car, not some local scandal. But hearing about her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Larson, stirred a pang of jealousy I had no right to feel. We weren't exclusive, hadn't made any promises, but the idea of her with someone else gnawed at me. That night, as we watched a movie with her kids in her Tacoma living room, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. Not the wild rush of new love, but a quiet sense of being right where I belonged. What's on your mind? Ellen asked during a commercial break. This. How normal it feels. Normal's better than people think. I used to agree. Now I'm not so sure. After Lila and Max went to bed, Ellen walked me to my truck. Can I ask you something? She said. Go for it. Do you still love her, Nora? I thought hard. I love who I thought she was. The mom to my kid, the partner I built a life with. But that woman's gone. Maybe she never existed. That's not a straight answer. Truth is, I don't know. I'm still sorting it out. I can handle that, but I'm not here to be your rebound. If you're with me, I need you all in. What if I can't be? What if I'm too messed up? Then we'll figure it out together, or we won't, and we'll move on. But I'm not going to spend months wondering if you're measuring me against your ex. I kissed her, soft at first, then deeper. When we pulled back, she smiled. That's a good start. Our relationship grew through the winter. I met Ellen's parents, helped Max with a science fair project, and cheered at Lila's school play. Ellen fit into my world too, winning Kaylee over with her warmth and even impressing Lyle with her love for old school rock. But the real test came in February when Kaylee dropped a bombshell over breakfast. Mom's back in town, she said casually. Got a job at an elementary school. My coffee cup stopped midair. Which school? Lincoln Elementary, in the office. Lincoln, where Ellen taught third grade. When this happened? Last week. She called and said, I want to grab lunch. I nodded, keeping my face neutral. That's good. You should see her. You cool with that? She's your mom, Kaylee. You don't need my okay to see her. But inside, I was anything but cool. Nora's return churned up feelings I thought I'd buried. Anger, pain, and something else I didn't want to dig into. 3 days later, the moment I dreaded hit. I was picking Ellen up from Lincoln Elementary when I spotted Nora in the parking lot, standing by a beat-up sedan, keys in hand, staring right at me. Go on, Ellen said softly. I'll wait in the truck. I walked over, struck by how different Nora looked. Fuller, hair cropped short, somehow smaller, less alive. Hey, Wes, she said. Heard you were back, Nora. I wanted to be near Kaylee. This job was all I could find. We stood there, awkward, two people who'd once shared everything now scrambling for words. You look good, she said finally. Happy. Trying to be. The teacher, Ellen Martinez, she seems nice. She is. I'm glad. You deserve that. So do you. Her laugh was sharp, bitter. After what I did, I'm not sure I deserve anything, but I'm trying to make things right, to be better. That's all anyone can do. Are you? With her? We're taking it slow. She nodded, eyes wet. I should go. I'm not here to stir things up. I just want to be in Kaylee's life again. She'd like that. As Nora drove off, I felt a tangle of pity and guilt for my part in her fall. How'd that go? Ellen asked when I got back to the truck. Weird. Sad. I don't know. Want to talk about it? Not yet. She nodded, not pushing, and I love that about her, her knack for giving me space. But seeing Nora shook me more than I let on. That night, alone in my house, I flipped through old photo albums. Our wedding, family trips, Christmas mornings with Kaylee. A life that felt solid once, but collapsed under pressure. My phone rang. It was Ellen. Hey. Hey yourself. You okay? I think so. You've been quiet since this afternoon. When guys go silent after seeing their ex, it usually means they're wrestling with stuff they don't want to say. I smiled despite myself. You're pretty sharp for a third grade teacher. I prefer emotionally perceptive. Having second thoughts about us? No, maybe, I don't know. That's honest at least. Seeing her dragged up stuff I thought I'd handled. Like, could I have saved our marriage if I'd tried harder? Been a better husband? Noticed what she needed? Wes, listen, Nora had an affair for 9 months. She lied, betrayed you, planned to leave. That's not on you. I know that in my head, but my heart's not so sure. You're wondering if you're worth loving, if you're enough for someone. I get it. I felt that after my divorce, like I must have been lacking for my ex to run off with someone younger. How'd you get past it? I'm still getting there. It's a process, learning to trust yourself and others again. What if I'm too broken? You're not broken, Wes. You're hurt. There's a difference. And if you're in this, we'll figure it out together. In the weeks after Nora's return, I worked hard to untangle my feelings about her being back in Spokane. I met Kaylee for lunch after she'd spent time with her mom, listening as she shared how Nora was grappling with guilt and depression. She's in therapy, Kaylee said, one-on-one in group sessions, really trying to figure out why she did what she did. That's a good step, It takes guts to own your mistakes. She asked about you, about Ellen. What did you say? That you're happy, that Ellen's good for you. And her response? She cried but said she's glad you found someone. I nodded, caught off guard by how much Nora's reaction hit me. Part of me wanted her to be jealous, to feel the weight of what she'd thrown away. But her quiet acceptance of my new life stung more than envy ever could. Things came to a head in March at a school board meeting in Tacoma that Ellen had asked me to attend. The district was debating budget cuts, and Ellen was fighting to save the art program. I was in the back row when Nora walked in, scanning the room nervously before sitting up front. When Ellen stood to speak, Nora turned to listen, and their eyes locked across the auditorium. There was no anger in Nora's gaze, just a tired sort of surrender. She gave Ellen a small nod, like a quiet blessing. After the meeting, as the crowd spilled out, Nora approached us. Miss Martinez, I'm Nora Vance. I work in the office at Lincoln Elementary. Oh, nice to meet you, Ellen said. I wanted to say your speech on arts education was powerful. I hope the board listens. Thank you, that means a lot. The three of us stood in uneasy silence until Nora turned to me. Take care, Wes. You deserve good things. You too, Nora. As she walked away, Ellen was quiet on the drive home. She's not what I pictured, she said finally. What did you expect? Someone colder, easier to dislike. She's not a monster, just someone who made awful choices. Do you forgive her? I thought it over. I'm trying, not for her, but for me. Carrying all that anger was eating me alive. And us? Are you good with us? More than good. You're the best thing I've got going. Good because I love you. The words hit like a jolt. It was the first time either of us had said it, and it made everything feel real in a new way. I love you too, I said, meaning every word. That summer, I did something I never thought I'd do again, planned a future with someone. Ellen and I talked about moving in together, blending our families, maybe even tying the knot someday. What about the kids? I asked one night on my porch. Lila's already calling you Gavin Dad when she thinks I'm not listening. Max wants to work at your shop when he's 16. And Kaylee? She's good with it. I love having a full house again. It was true, Kaylee had come alive since Ellen and her kids started hanging around, more talkative, more like her old self before the divorce. So, we're really doing this? I asked. If you're in, I'm in. We set a loose plan for the fall. After Lila and Max settled into school, Ellen would sell her house and move into mine with her kids, building the family I was piecing back together. But first, there was one last hurdle. It came in August at Tacoma's Heritage Days Festival. I was manning the volunteer fire department's booth when a ruckus broke out near the dunk tank. Mitch's brother, Victor, stumbled in, drunk and itching for a fight. Where's he at? He bellowed, scanning the crowd. Where's the guy who ruined my brother? My blood turned to ice. Victor was a big man, bigger than Mitch, with a rap sheet and a reputation for throwing punches. He was plastered and looking for trouble. There you are, he growled, spotting me. Wes Vance, the big hero who destroyed my family. People backed away as he shoved through the crowd toward my booth. Ellen appeared beside me, her face pale. Stay back, I told her quietly. You think you're some kind of justice warrior? Victor shouted, close enough I could smell the whiskey on his breath. You think you had the right to take down my brother? Your brother brought himself down, I said, keeping my voice steady. I just held him accountable. Accountable? You pushed him to his grave, you smug bastard. I'm sorry for your loss, Victor, but Mitch made his own choices. Bull! Victor swung, his fist grazing my shoulder. He was a good man before you came for him. I sidestepped Victor's second swing, grabbing his wrist and twisting it behind his back, my old firefighter training kicking in to restrain him. Let me go, Victor thrashed, his voice thick with booze and pain. Not till you cool off, I said. He was my little brother. He screwed up, and you ruined him for it. I felt the raw grief in his words, the kind of hurt that comes from losing everything and needing someone to blame. I eased my grip just a bit. I know you're torn up, I said softly. I know you miss him, but this won't bring him back. You don't get it. You got your payback and moved on. We're the ones stuck with the fallout. You think I just moved on? You think this has been easy? Victor stopped fighting, something in my voice catching him. I think about Mitch every day, I went on, wondering if I could have handled it differently, been the bigger man. I live with knowing my choices played a part in how it ended. Then why'd you do it? I was angry, hurt. I wanted him to pay for wrecking my family. I let go of his arm, but I went too far. I let revenge eat me alive, and now a man's gone, I carry that. Victor turned, tears streaming down his face. He wasn't a bad guy. He just got lost. I know. We all get lost sometimes. I loved him. He was all I had after our folks passed. Then honor him by being better than he was. Don't let his mistakes shape you. Victor stared at me for a long moment, then nodded, his shoulders slumping. Sorry for coming at you like this. I just needed someone to blame. I get it. I've been there. As Victor shuffled off, broken and drained, the weight of the past 2 years settled heavy on me. I'd gotten my revenge, but at what cost? Mitch was dead. Victor was shattered. Nora was in exile, and I'd nearly lost myself along the way. Ellen took my hand. That was brave, she said. No, just necessary. That night, lying in bed, I realized my journey wasn't done. Maybe it never would be. I'd always carry the consequences of my choices, the cost of my vendetta. But I'd also carry the love I'd found with Ellen, the bond I was rebuilding with Kaylee, and the hope that I could be better than the man I'd been at my lowest. The next morning, I called Hank Sullivan. Hank, it's Wes. I want to start a scholarship fund. What kind? For kids who've lost parents to suicide, in Mitch Carver's name. A long pause. You sure? Positive. Can you make it anonymous? Yeah, how much are we talking about? Everything from the divorce settlement. Wes, that's close to $200,000. It's tainted money, Hank. I don't want it. If you're sure, I'll make it happen. 2 weeks later, the Spokane paper ran a story. Anonymous donor creates fund for children of suicide victims. It noted the fund was named for Mitch Carver, offering college aid to kids who'd lost parents to suicide. I never told anyone I was behind it, but I think Ellen knew. She didn't ask, just squeezed my hand when she read the article and said, I'm proud of you. Fall brought a fresh start. Ellen and her kids moved in on a Saturday, with Kaylee, Bryce, and a bunch of neighbors pitching in. The house, empty and haunted for 2 years, buzzed with life again. It's gonna be noisy, Ellen warned as Max tore through the living room with a toy truck. Good, I said, pulling her close. I'm done with quiet. That evening, we sat on the porch, watching Lila and Kaylee giggling over nail polish, while Max and Bryce tinkered with a car engine in the garage. I felt something I thought I'd lost for good. Peace. No regrets? Ellen asked. Just one. What's that? That it took me so long to see what matters. Family, love, showing up for the people who count. What about justice? Making people pay? I thought of Mitch, gone in his cell, Victor grieving, Nora rebuilding day by day. Justice without mercy isn't justice. It's revenge, and revenge poisons the one holding the cup. Ellen smiled, leaning into my shoulder. Look at you, getting all wise in your old age. 44 ain't old. It is when you're dating a younger woman. You're 2 years younger. Still counts. We sat in easy silence, watching our patchwork family find its rhythm. Laughter, engines humming, the everyday chaos of life filled the air. It wasn't the life I'd planned, not the family I started with, but it was mine, and it was good, and it was enough. As the sun dipped over our Tacoma neighborhood, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I closed my eyes and let myself believe in fresh starts. My story with Nora was done, ended in betrayal and pain that changed me forever. But my story with Ellen was just beginning, built on honesty, forgiveness, and the hard-earned wisdom of surviving my worst mistakes. I'd been a husband, a victim, a man out for blood, and now finally a guy learning to love again. The journey nearly broke me, but it showed me who I really was when everything else fell away. And that, maybe, was worth all the hurt.